So, with the final motion, in a post-COVID society, this House prefers the continuation of online classes over in-person classes. So without further ado, please welcome the first speaker from side affirmative to the podium. Here.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. I am Ngọc, the first speaker of the affirmative team, and the motion today is, in a post-COVID society, this House prefers the continuation of online classes over in-person classes. So before we get into presenting our arguments, I would like to introduce our team members. As mentioned before, I am the first speaker and I will be defining what the topic is and give our arguments on why online learning is accessible and its scheduling is flexible. Our second speaker, Hoàng, will extend our case in the second and third argument, which is why online learning lower tuition and fee cost and how it is still effective. Now let's get into the definition. Post-COVID society is a society when COVID has passed and the way people live is influenced by the major pandemic. Online class is a course conducted over the internet. Classes can be taught via web conferencing applications like Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams. On the other hand, in-person classes refers to hands-on learning environments. In other words, it's called offline learning, where students and teachers meet up face-to-face. So, in our first argument, we, the affirmative team, believe that online learning should be preferred because it's accessible and the scheduling is flexible. Online studying enables you to study or teach from anywhere of the world. This means there's no need to commute from one place to another or follow a rigid schedule. With e-learning, you can access any class you want from any part of the world and at any time. You can record your classes, stop and replay at any speed you want. For those who need to juggle working and going back to school, the flexibility of an online program provides individuals with the opportunity to learn while working and growing professionally. For example, universities like Harvard allow students or graduates from around the world to study at the university without directly traveling to America to enroll in it. In a hectic, busy world, online courses offer unmatched convenience and flexibility. Whether you're a night owl or a morning person, online classes allow you to log in and complete your work anywhere, anytime, all in your favorite pajamas. So therefore, we believe that the continuation of online classes should be preferred over in-person classes. Thank you for listening.
Okay, please welcome the first speaker from side negative to the podium. Here.
So, hello everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening. I am the first speaker of the negative team called the Logic Makers, and one of the affirmative team. And one of the teammates in the affirmative team said that you can do the work anytime, anywhere, but there's no scheduled date for that. Although it saves some time, but it can hurt your eyesight, and you're sitting in four walls, like a tiny box. And in some cases, students can play games while in online classes. Imagine yourself in an online classes when suddenly the internet begins to lag for the teacher, and if the teacher wants to say something, the students can't hear her because she is buffering like getting 8 frames per second. Some cases when the teacher lags so much that eventually she is out of the online classes, and the students can also skip the assignment, and luckily for them, teachers can't hit or scold you because the teachers are in school and while we are at home. When weeks have gone by, you haven't done any of your homework, and it's exam time, it's gonna be very bad, creepy, anxious, and too real for you to handle. That's everything about my conclusion. Thank you for listening.
Welcome the second speaker from Team Affirmative to the podium.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Madam Chairperson, the judges, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience. I am Hoàng, the second speaker from the affirmative team, and I'm here today to rebut to the other team's argument and also strengthen our case that we prefer the continuation of online classes over in-person classes. So first, I'll get into the rebuttal. The other team said that it may happen that technical problems may happen and the internet problems, so that students can't hear and the learning process can be affected. But we believe that in-person classes, teachers they all shall have technical problems, and we all have solution to these problems. For example, if we're doing online classes, the teachers can always prepare materials or record the lesson and send it to the students afterwards. And now first I'll get into our second argument, which is it lowered the tuition fee and the boarding course. So we believe that by studying online, we can save a large amount of money for the students because they don't have to pay for costs. For example, food, drink, or living at school, or the money for extracurricular activities is also less. They don't have to pay for housing and gas for commuting or on-campus meal programs, and that can relate to substantial savings for cost-conscious students. And this is really important for poor families who can't afford the kids to send the kids to school. So they have to rely on opportunity like this to be able to handle the cost. So for a lot of schools in Vietnam, especially in international school, the tuition fee dropped by 20 to 30% in the online classes period. And specifically at Greenfield school, the tuition fee dropped by 30% when we first study online. And this means that parents save millions of money for the tuition cost. And now I'll give details about our third argument, which is online learning is still effective. So a recent survey and research from the National Center of Education Statistics, out of 19.9 million college students in America, 35% of them graduate online and enroll in some form of distant education in 2019. And we believe that the online classes still guarantees the graduation rate according to the survey that I've mentioned, and it is still effective and it should be commonly used as in-person classes. So a survey about e-learning state that 95% of its respondents describe their online classes as equivalent or superior compared to the traditional courses. And we believe that online classes provide features that in-person classes do not. For example, submitting your homework online, or turn off your mic and become quiet when you're not required to speak. And we're proud to propose. Thank you.
Welcome the second speaker from side opposition.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, judges, the opposing team, and my teammates. I am the second speaker of the negative team, and before I actually get into my point, I would like to make a rebuttal about your statement. You said that online learning is overall better than traditional learning. And I would like to say that the overarching purpose of a research expanded over an 8-year period was to determine the score of 568 students from 401 studies in real life and 107 studies online, is to determine which has better performance, and they had came to a conclusion that there is no difference in performance. Now I would like to get into my point. Online classes may create a sense of isolation. In online classes, no one can hear you scream, no one can listen to you, and no one can hear you talk, and that causes discomfort for some online students. Studying alone with only the computer as your companion can be terrifying. There's no whispering in the back of the room, no snarky remarks about how the math test was conducted, and no commanding presence at the front of the classroom pleading for everyone to listen. The online environment is a much different atmosphere from that of traditional learning. And from a research conducted by Yale professor Sophie Chung, the dropout rates for online education is much higher than traditional. Online courses have a 10 to 20% higher fail retention rate than traditional classroom environment, and 40% to 80% of online students drop out of online classes. Next, reviews of existing literature indicates that online courses have several social, technological, and motivational issues existing from both the learners and the faculty's perspective. It may very well be hard to keep up with the contents of the school year due to technical difficulties, as we said before, and students may be stressed for not being able to complete the assignments, the tests, and exams. And looking at it from the other side, it also may be hard for teachers to keep up with the students' score because everyone in the meeting is muted and they can't keep track of if their student is paying attention or not. So that brings me to my final conclusion. Online classes may create a sense of isolation. That is all.
Now please welcome the first speaker from side affirmatives to end the case. Here.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I am Minh, the third speaker of the affirmative team, and today I'll be rebutting the negative team arguments as well as summarizing our case. First, I would like to rebut the team arguments. They say that because of the technical issues, it can make many difficulties during online learning. But teachers need to know that there are always a possibility that there might be technical issues, just like in person class. They need to provide a backup plan like recording their lectures or lessons and then providing it to the students. Second, they say that it will create isolation. This is right during the pandemic when we are forced to quarantine and not interact with our friends. But now in post-COVID, students can totally meet with their classmates outside of school. They also say that we might not pay attention, but the teachers might still ask questions to check the understanding of students. Now I would like to summarize our case. As the first speaker of our team, we presented the argument that it is accessible and the schedule is flexible. With online classes, you can learn from anywhere at any time in the world. In university, not many people have the ability to take your time off from work and commit to a full-time graduate program or move halfway across the globe because you want to have the education that you want. With online classes, you can record the class and replay them at your own speed. In a hectic and busy world, online classes offer an unmatched convenience and flexibility. Furthermore, it lowers the tuition costs as mentioned by our second speaker. Traditional schools are filled with buildings, all of which come with tremendous costs. Online students don't have to pay for this cost. Just think about the money what you could do with the money you save on transit, food, dorm living. In Vietnam, tuition fee dropped about 20 to 30% during the online class period. This might not seem much, but for some schools, this could mean millions are saved. Think about the students whose families cannot afford them to go to school. Online classes provide them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reduce the fee. And furthermore, online learning is still effective. Studies have shown that online learning is as effective as the in-person one. It still guarantees the same graduation rates, and the majority of students even say that they prefer the online class or it is equivalent or superior to the traditional courses. It provides features that in-person class don't have, like recording or playing your lectures at your own speed or submitting your homework online. As mentioned by the negative team, if there is no difference in effectiveness, then and furthermore, it provides many opportunities for the people who don't have money, for the people who don't have time, or for the people who live all the way across the globe. Why wouldn't we want the continuation of online classes? That's why our team, the affirmative team, agree with the motion in post-COVID society. This route prefer the continuation of online classes over in-person classes.
Please welcome the final speaker to end this debate. Here.
Hello judges, teammates and opposing team. I am the third and final speaker for my team, the logic makers. I won't be rebuttaling your point because previously we already rebutted it and I find no need to do that. So I'll move on to my point immediately. So what we have, firstly we have human interaction. In online class, you have the option to turn off your mic, turn off your screen, camera, so teachers and peers can't really see you. And neither can you see teachers when there are times where they might have to turn off their cameras. And according to a study of Okita SY, social interaction, learning social interaction plays a very important part in learning. interacting with people may help assisting the learner organize their thoughts and reflect on what they previously had, and maybe that might change their point of view. You can't have that online because sometimes you'll ignore them or you refuse to listen in a means of deafening yourself. Another point I have is concentration. A study by researchers at Kent State University state that all students multitask more, resulting in poor academic performance. They also analyzed a total of 300 students in online classes. What they found was that 25% of the students were not paying attention. They were either texting, surfing the web, or doing some other means besides paying attention to class. This affects their academic value because they aren't learning. They can Google the answers. They can find other means of an easier means of knowing the answers instead of learning it themselves. Another problem we found is that real-world problems. Online means you don't really interact with people unless you want to go outside and play. You don't interact with them in a means of studying. That means you become more inept, and that just makes you lose social skills and lose your abilities that you had while you were in face-to-face. In conclusion, our team had found that multitasking, losing social skills, and make students more prone to distractions, along with procrastination, effects of your health and mental health, your physical and mental health, along with isolation and dropout rates, all make online classes slightly worse than face-to-face classes. That is all. Thanks.